Hello all, welcome back to FAD Learning. And in this video, let's learn about the concept of attribute directives, the third type of directive in Angular. And just to recap, Angular has three main types of directives. First, component directive, second, structural directive, and third, attribute directive. And we have already explored component and structural directives in depth through various scenarios. And this video will complete our discussion of all three directive types. So please watch the entire video to understand everything. Okay, now let's move on to the attribute directives. And in the introduction section, we covered the three types of attribute directives. First, ngClass, second, ngStyle, and third, ngModel. And we have already learned that the ng model enables two-way data binding to an HTML form element, which we understood while studying the two-way data binding concept. So now we will explore the remaining two types of attribute directives, that is ngClass and ngStyle. And to demonstrate this, I have created a separate component named as attribute directive and imported it in the app component here as well as here. Okay. And to save the time, I have created a basic structure with Bootstrap classes. So first, let's start with ngClass directive. And what is the purpose of ngClass directive? ngClass directive is used to add or remove CSS classes from an element. And to understand this clearly, we will explore practical examples covering 2 to 3 scenarios for both directive, ngClass as well as ngStyle. Okay, so in our first scenario, we will add a dynamic class using ngClass directive. So for that, let me open this TS file in right side, and here I'll declare a variable with name text color of type string and assign it an initial value, which is a Bootstrap class text success. Success means green color. Now, inside the HTML file, I'll create an h3 heading element with the text. This is the first example of ngClass. Okay, save the changes and let's open the browser. And here you can see our h3 element with text. This is the first example of ngClass. Now, I want to apply the green color to this text. And we have already created a variable and assigned a text success class to this text color variable. So now, how we can add this text color variable to this h3 element? So with the help of ngClass directive, we can do that. So here, I'll use ngClass directive, and the syntax of ngClass directive is we need to wrap ngClass inside square bracket and assign it the value of variable, and the variable name is text color. Okay, so this is the syntax of ngClass directive. Now, in order to use ngClass directive, we need to import it inside imports array. And again, either we can import ngClass or we can import common module. Well, import common module so that in future, if you are working with ngIf, ngFor, ngClass, ngStyle, then you don't need to import each module inside imports array, because instead of adding everything, we can import common module. Now, let's open the browser and observe the rendered text in green color. Here you can see. Here you can see now our h3 element is in green color. And additionally, note that instead of using the ngClass directive, we can wrap the class property in square bracket like this. Because the class is the attribute of HTML element. So since this is attribute, we can wrap it with square bracket. And with this property binding also, we are getting same result. Now save the changes, and here you can see still our h3 element is in green color. This means we can add a dynamic class using either the ngClass directive or the class property binding. Okay. Now, to make this functionality more dynamic, we can change the color of text on button click as well. So here, what I'll do, after this h3 element, I'll add one br tag. Then I'll create a button element with a class of btn.btn success dot margin 2 for styling, and the button's name is changed to green. Now, when this button is clicked, the click event binding calls a function called change color, and I'll pass the respective color. So here, since this is a green color button, I'll pass text success class, and I'll add single quotes around the class name to make it clear that it's a string. Okay. Now, inside TS file, let me define the change color function with one parameter color of type string. And inside this function, I'll assign the parameter value to this text color variable. And now I'll create another button with red color, button danger, and I'll pass bootstrap class danger as a function parameter. Okay. So far what we did, we have created one variable with name text color and assign a text success bootstrap class as its value. And after that, we have bound this variable to the heading using ngClass directive. Okay. And then we have created two buttons. First button is for green color and second button is for red color. And added a click event to each button. This event calls the change color function with parameter text success and text danger. And within this function, we assign this color parameter to the text color variable. Now save both the files and test in the browser. Here you can see two buttons. First is in green colors and second is in red color. And we can see the text color is in green color because we have initialized the value of text color variable to text success, which means green color. But if we want to change the text color to red, then we need to click on the red color button. And now here you can see the text is in red color. Similarly, we can change it back to green color by clicking the green color button. Change to green, red and green. So this is actually dynamic. It means dynamically we are changing the color of text. Okay. So this is the first example of ngClass directive. Now let's move on to the another example where we will add CSS conditionally. Let me increase the font size. And our second scenario is adding CSS conditionally using ngClass directive. And for that, again, I'll declare a variable. Let me write first here. And now this is our second scenario. And for second scenario, I'll declare a new variable with name is text green of type boolean equals to, I'll initialize it with the value false. Okay. Next, I'll copy and paste the same heading inside second div. And here instead of first, I'll write second because this is our second example. And here I'll delete this text color variable. And instead of that, I'll use new variable that is text green. And this time to bind the class dynamically, I'll use conditional expression to evaluate the value of is text green variable. Like here, ngClass equals to is text green. And if this is text green variable is true, then I apply the class text success colon. And if this is text green variable false, then I'll apply the class text danger. Okay. So this is our conditional expression. It means is text green is true, I wish to apply the class text success. Otherwise, I wish to apply the class text danger. Since the isTextGreen variable is assigned the value false, it will execute the false condition. That means applying the class textDanger. Therefore, on page load, we should expect the text to appear in red color. We'll save both the files and let me open browser. And here you can see the first scenario is in green color and second scenario is in red color. And also we can make this example more dynamic by using a checkbox. So here I'll add BR and after that I'll create a checkbox input element, input of type checkbox, and binding its value to the isTextGreen variable using the ngModel directive. And in order to use ngModel, we need to import forms module. So here in ngModel equals to, I'll bind the variable isTextGreen. And as we know that ngModel directive is used for two-way data binding, which means that changes to the input element's value are automatically reflected in the isTextGreen variable and vice versa. And in other words, when the checkbox is checked or unchecked, the value of isTextGreen variable is updated automatically. Okay, so I'll add a text label next to the checkbox, that is change color. And now let's test this in the browser. Initially, the value of variable is false. That is why we can see the H3 element is in red color. Because in the condition we have written if the isText color is false, then we wish to apply the text danger class to that particular element. So now when I select this checkbox, as you can see here, the isTextGreen variable becomes true and the text color changes to green. So to be more clear here, I'll just print the value of isTextGreen color. Now you can see initially the isTextGreen color is false. Once I click on this checkbox, it becomes true. And when isTextGreen true, we wish to apply the text success class to this H3 element. And text success means green color. And when I deselect this checkbox, the isTextGreen variable becomes false and the text color changes to red. Okay, select, deselect. Let me delete this. And now let's move on to the third scenario where the user can add their own class as desired, which means let's add a custom class using ngClass directive. And to do this, I'll declare a variable with name user class of types string equal to, I'll initialize it with an empty string. And next, inside HTML file, I'll copy paste the same H3 element here. And this time I'll delete this condition and instead of second, I'll write third. And here I'll bind the new variable user class to this ngClass directive. Now I'll add a br tag and after that I'll create a text input element, input of type text, and binding its value to the user class variable. So again here I'll use ngModel equals to user class. And here I'll also add placeholder with text example success to provide a hint to the user about expected input format. Okay, so now as the user types into the input field, the value of the user class is updated automatically and the same value is reflected in the class of H3 element. So let's save the changes and go back to browser. And as you can see here, initially the text appears in black, but if the user wants to change the text color to orange, then they can simply type text warning inside this input box like this. And you can see the text is in orange color. Similarly, I can type text primary and it changes the text color to blue. Similarly, I can type text info, text danger, text success. Okay, so this shows that users can add any color class through this input box. Okay, so far we have explored three different use cases of ngClass directive where we added and removed CSS classes dynamically. In the first example, we added a dynamic class using the ngClass directive. In the second example, we added CSS conditionally using the ngClass directive. And in the third example, we added a custom class using the ngClass directive. Okay, now let's understand the second type of attribute directive, that is ngStyle directive with similar examples. So I'll just copy paste the heading from here and let me change the name to ngStyle. Save the changes. And what is the use of ngStyle directive in Angular? The ngStyle directive is used to add or remove inline styles from an element. Okay. What's the difference between ngStyle and ngClass? The ngClass directive is used to add or remove CSS classes, whereas the ngStyle directive is used to add or remove inline styles from an element. Okay. So let's understand ngStyle with practical examples. So for that, let me copy paste the first example of ngClass directive and quickly modify the h3 element. So here instead of ngClass, I'll add ngStyle. And I'll also change the button colors to orange and blue. For orange, I'll use button warning, and for blue, I'll use button primary. Same here, I'll pass the parameter button warning and button primary. And I'll change the function name as well. This time I'll use update color function. And this button names will be changed to orange. And the second one is changed to blue. Next, I'll define this update color function inside TS file. So below this first example, I'll write the say update color function with uColor parameter of type string. Or instead of uColor, I'll write here ngStyle color. And I'll declare a new variable with name style color of type string and assign it the value orange. Now inside this update color function, I'll assign this ngStyle color parameter value to the style color variable. Save the changes and let's check in the browser. And here you can see the text is displayed in black. Even though we have written these two buttons and we have written this respected function inside TS file, it won't work because we have not yet used the ngStyle directive. Okay, now to change the text color dynamically, we can use the style attribute with property binding or the ngStyle directive, similar to how we use the class attribute or ngClass directive. But additionally, we need to wrap the inline CSS within curly brackets, formatted as an object. So here, inside this curly brackets, I'll add color property. And here I want to assign the value of color to orange. So we have already created a variable and assign the value orange to that variable. So here, let me correct the spelling. I'll use the style color variable as a value of this color property. And along this color property, we can use another CSS properties like font weight. Here I'll add lighter. So similarly, you can add as many CSS properties as you want. Okay, so I'll go with these two. I want to change the color to orange and also I wish to apply the font width lighter. Okay, so what we did so far, we have created a new variable called style color and assigned it the value orange. After that, we used this variable as the value of this color property inside the object. And we have also created two buttons and added a click event to change the corresponding content of the H3 element. Okay. And we passed the corresponding color as a parameter to the update color function and define the same parameterized function in the TypeScript file. And inside this function, we assign the parameter value to the style color variable. Okay. Now let's check the output in the browser. And here we can change the text color by clicking on the button and it's not changing. Okay, so here we don't need to wrap this style color inside quotes. And one more thing, we have assigned the color to the style color variable. So here also we need to pass the color. So instead of Bootstrap class, I'll pass orange color and here also I'll pass blue color. Okay. Now save the changes and let's check in the browser. Now you can see the text is in orange color, and once I click on the blue color, the text changes to blue, and also we can change this text back to orange by click on this orange button. Blue and orange. Okay. Okay, so this is how our first example of ngStyle directive is also completed. And as I mentioned earlier, we can achieve the same result using the style property instead of ngStyle. So let's check this as well. Let me click on this blue color and again orange color. And it is working as expected. So it means both methods produces the same output. Therefore, we can choose any method to add style dynamically. Okay. Now let's understand the second example. And for the second example, I'll create again a new variable called isTextOrange. Okay, and assign it a false value to this variable as well. Now let's copy the second example from ngClass and I'll paste it inside ngStyle. And I'll do necessary corrections. Instead of using ngClass, here I'll write ngStyle. And instead of isTextGreen variable, I'll use isTextOrange variable. And here let me delete this condition. Let me change this to ngStyle. Instead of isTextGreen, here I'll write isTextOrange. And now, since this is the ngStyle directive, I'll wrap the color property inside curly braces. So here I'll use color and I'll use isTextOrange variable to the value of this color CSS property. Now we can add condition. If this isTextOrange true, then I wish to apply a color orange. Otherwise, I wish to apply blue. Okay. So what we did, we have created a new variable called isTextOrange and assigned a false value to it. And then we have used the same isTextOrange variable conditionally in the ngStyle directive. Like if isTextOrange is true, the text will appear in orange color. Otherwise, it will appear in blue color. And the value of isTextOrange variable changes when the change color text box is selected or deselected. Okay, so let's check the output in the browser. And here you can see we can change the text color by selecting and deselecting the check like this. Okay, so this was our second example. Now let's understand the third example of ngStyle directive. And for this, I'll create a new object called custom class of type any equals to open and close curly brackets. And this object contains property color. It sets the text color to pink. Next property height. It sets the height of the element to 150 pixel. Next property, I wish to add width and it sets the width of the element to 400 pixel. And last, I want to add border, 1 pixel solid black. So this border property sets a 1 pixel solid black border around the element. Okay. So this is for TS file. And now inside HTML file, I'll copy the third example of ngClass directive and paste it inside ngStyle directive. But this time I won't need the input box. I'll remove this BR tag as well. And I'll replace this ngClass with ngStyle. And instead of this user class, this time we can use ngStyle directive to bind the CSS property defined in the custom class object to this h3 element. So here I'll write custom class. It means when the template is rendered, the h3 element will have the styles defined in the custom class object. Okay, so let's check the output in the browser. And here you can see the text is in pink, but we cannot see the border. So let me see here, instead of W, I need to write 1 pixel. Now you can see all the CSS styles, including color, height, width, and border, have been successfully applied to this H3 element. Okay, so it means we can add the CSS dynamically as per the requirements. Like if you want to change the color, we can directly change it from the TS file. Like instead of pink, now I'll apply yellow color. And since this is the example of ngStyle, so instead of ngClass, I'll write ngStyle. Now let's save the changes. And now you can see the text is in yellow color. So I hope you now have a clear understanding of both the ngClass as well as ngStyle directives. And with this, we have successfully completed the concept of Angular directives. And I assume you enjoyed learning with FAD Learning and found our tutorials helpful. If you did, please show your support by liking, sharing, and subscribing to our channel for more front-end related tutorials and updates. So keep watching, keep learning, and keep supporting. Thank you. Bye-bye.